Sportsman with Gareth McGuinness.
Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the 12th Man podcast. We're delighted that it's the opening week of the season that will kick off on Friday night, and we've got two very special guests. They lead us into the build-up. We're going to be also discussing the transfer news, of course. Zubimendi dominates it at the moment. The news about him. Will Arsenal regret pricing Nketiah out of a move for Marseille? Will that mean they can't bring in another attacker to bolster their chances of winning the title? We'll look at Solanke's big money move to Spurs, and we'll tie up the rest of the transfer business, including Chelsea signing Pedro Neto, Athletic Madrid signing Alvarez, and so much more. We'll also, before we go, look ahead to this weekend's opening games, and us three will try and attempt to tell you the Premier League table, how it'll end in May. Boys, delighted to have you with us. Owen, I know you've been on a couple of times, and I know Stefan's joining us from his holidays. So we'll start with you, Owen. How are you feeling ahead of the new season starting on Friday night?
I mean, it's been a long summer without the Premier League and in general. But no, I'm excited to see what the new season brings. And hey, it's a clean slate starting Friday, so nobody knows what will happen until the first 5 or 6 games. So I'm just looking forward to proper football on Friday night.
Yeah, Stefan usually joins us from Bulgaria, but he's actually joining us from Greece this time. He gets around, doesn't he? But Stefan, good to have you back on for the season. You did rock a few boats here last season. Can we expect more of the same this year?
I mean, I just always give my honest opinion, and if it annoys people, if it rocks the boats, it's not my fault. It's usually the correct opinion, but it's okay, guys.
Sometimes that's
What's up,
these Liverpool
everybody?
fans don't hear the truth, Stefan. But look, we'll come on to Liverpool now because probably the big story in the transfer market over the last few days has been this saga developing with Liverpool and Real Sociedad involving Martin Zubimendi. Of course, Stefan, we'll come on to your opinion on him because he was heavily linked with Arsenal as well. But we'll start with you, one. I mean, it's nervy now because we get the feeling Zubimendi wants the move, but we're not sure how much he's willing to force it because of his love for his boyhood club, Real Sociedad, and we're hearing that they're doing everything they can to keep him. And Liverpool facing nervous with because, Owen, this can't run on much longer. You feel that in the next 48, 72 hours, we're going to get to the bottom of this and where he's going to be playing his football next year.
It needs to be done, as you say, in the next 24 to 48 hours, because I'm sitting hearing things different. Oh, he wants to come. Oh, Sociedad are telling him how good the food is, even though he would already know how good it is because he's been there. It's just frustrating because why? But this is my thing. Why would Liverpool go so far and not walk away if they're not getting indications that he wants to come? Surely there's obviously the club are trying everything to keep him. But if it rumbles on, there has to be an acceptance that we need to move on to our targets because there's other areas in the squad we need to strengthen as well. And if this goes on much longer, then I can't see anything whether he comes on or not. But we definitely need someone in that position, and as I say, we need our position strengthened as well. So it is worrying, but it's going to be an interesting next 48 hours for sure.
Yeah, Stefan, I'm keen to hear your opinion on this Zubimendi because he was heavily linked with Arsenal, and I was quite surprised when news came out that Liverpool were close to agreeing a deal with Sociedad because if you ask me at the moment, Arsenal are more of an attractive option than Liverpool, obviously with the unknown factor of Arne Slot. Arsenal look primed and ready to win a Premier League title, and you think he could be the missing piece in the midfield, and then we'll come on to the striker part later on. But, I was surprised that Liverpool, he was tempted by Liverpool because, he's been a name linked with Arsenal for such a long time. And, I got the feeling early on that Liverpool fans could be disappointed by the outcome of this. Where do you think this is going to end up?
I just think the longer the wait, I think the less likely that it comes, in my opinion. And from what I'm reading, and if you're reading the Arsenal kind of sources are pretty much saying the Merino deal will happen. Pretty much Arsenal have Real Sociedad in a corner and they're not in a rush. They're trying to get the best possible terms. And Merino really wants to come. And so from what I'm reading, Real Sociedad are throwing the bank at Zubimendi pretty much, saying that he's going to be the main guy. He's going to be the highest paid player.
Do you get the feeling that Arsenal have been down this road with Zubimendi before? Because
No, but it's
clearly
not only
he's
it's only
more attractive
Arsenal.
than Merino.
Yeah, it's only supposedly Bayern Munich also inquired, and he said no to them. So when I
Man
read that
United as well.
Liverpool, it did make sense to me, because if you look at it, Zubimendi, he's gonna go with a really nice salary to Liverpool. Let's be honest, Liverpool don't have a number 6. They really don't. And I think looking at the actual squad, I mean, who's his competition? Let's be honest, Endo. I know Owen rates Endo. I'm sorry, he's not good enough for where Liverpool want to be.
No,
And
I
I
agree
think,
with that. Like,
sorry,
I agree with that. Like
yeah.
last season,
So
it was just sort of a stopgap, but we need
yeah,
that next level now.
no, but if you look at, and he looks at that, and if I'm Zubimendi, I'm a guaranteed starter pretty much at Liverpool.
Yeah.
I go, whilst at Arsenal, he's not. I'm sorry. Currently, a fit Thomas Partey is better than him. So he's not as guaranteed of a starter at Arsenal that he is at Liverpool. Even at Bayern Munich, I was actually surprised he said no to Bayern, because before they signed Joao Paulinho, if they were interested in him, I would say the number 6 position there was also very much missing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Liverpool. Honestly, I think if I can use a really good analogy, guys, it's kind of like the guy that gets all the signals from the girl, Netflix and chill, everything is going to happen. And then and then he kind of starts telling his friends, and then when it gets down to it, nothing happens. And I think Liverpool kind of shot their shot too early by leaking that they're super, because if you read now the most respectable journalist, the most reliable, it went from Liverpool are highly confident to they hope.
Yeah.
So that tells me that the waves have changed.
I think
That
you've summed it up well there, Stefan. I think you've
Yeah.
absolutely nailed it. And I do sense that the longer this goes on, the less confident Liverpool fans are going to be. And Owen, how do Liverpool fans feel about this indecisiveness? Because, not to sort of refer to Spurs, but Ange Postecoglou spoke in the last few weeks about he's only interested in players that want to come to Spurs, not interested in are they in the top 4, kind of where if they've got offers elsewhere. He's only interested in one thing, if they're willing to come. And the fact that Zubimendi's kind of wanting to come, but he wants to leave on the right terms. He's not breaking his neck to get to Liverpool, it would seem at this time. Is that a worry that, even if he does come, that he might not be 100% for it? He could be homesick because we're hearing that he loves the mountains and loves the Spanish food. We've seen players over the years have struggled from different countries to adapt, and could this be a case if he comes, it might not actually work out the way Liverpool fans want it to be?
It could be, but we're sort of in a similar situation. I know it's because he's out of contract, but like if this was Trent looking to move on somewhere, I would expect Liverpool to be doing everything in their power to keep him, because it's his boyhood club, like, and he obviously loves it there. But if he wants to further his career and challenge for the big honours, he's going to have to move eventually, because he's not going to win He's not going to win La Liga with Sociedad. He's not going to win the Champions League. So I know he won the Euros in the summer, but he didn't really play a part there until the final. So if he wants to progress his career and win the big things, he'll have to move on eventually. But I do agree with Stefan and you. The more it goes on, the less confident I am that we'll see him in a Liverpool shirt next season. But as I said earlier, we need to sort it one way or another, because we need to get someone in that position.
Yeah,
no, but
absolutely.
if you
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, sorry, if you also look at it from Arsenal's pursuit of Merino and Liverpool's, Arsenal are taking their time, and it's annoying me, but I get it. Arsenal don't really need Merino as much, so they're trying to get the best possible deal. I would say Liverpool really, really needs Zubimendi, and I don't know if you read today, Real Sociedad are hyping up the pressure on him. They literally, supposedly in the Spanish press, they told him, if you want to leave, you've got to pay because that's the law in Spanish football. He has to go into the offices and pay his relief, which of course Liverpool will give him the money. But it will look, from a PR perspective, to the fans of Real Sociedad, it will look even worse. So Real Sociedad are really turning, whilst with Merino, it's completely dead, which tells me that Arsenal are just waiting for them to kind of to fold.
I
pretty
think
much.
we're going to learn a lot about Zubimendi's character as well, because if he's cracking under this kind of pressure, I'm not so sure he's what Liverpool need. You know, if he's fascinated by mountains and he's fascinated by the Spanish food and he's unwilling to kind of leave on bad terms. Even last year, Harry Kane left Spurs with the fans on good terms, but he didn't leave on good terms with Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy had actually banned him from the training ground towards the end. So
Yeah, that was bad.
there kind of is only one way to leave, and it's rarely ever does it on good terms. So
No,
I think Zubimendi really has to think about his future here and where he wants to play his football. And if Liverpool is the place, he's going to have to force his way out, as you say.
no,
Stefan,
but
coming back to you, Stefan, do you think if Zubimendi does arrive at Liverpool, he can catapult them from pretenders to contenders? Because you were very strong last year. Liverpool would fall away, and it would only be Man City and Arsenal. It probably went
I was
on
right.
longer than you thought it would, but in the end, it was only 2 teams for the kind of last 5 or 6 games. Do you think this signing can make them even stronger, and they could potentially be there at the end with Man City and Arsenal?
He doesn't. I do think that their number 6 position is really important, but I just, when I watch him play, I really like him as a player. I think he's a real quality player, but he doesn't solve the issues. I think overall the issues that Liverpool had, which was he's a really good playmaker, a guy who dictates play really well, but he's not a Fabinho who literally covers and who he's kind of an eraser of transitions. He's much more of a typical
Do you think they
DM.
need a destroyer?
Yeah,
I think that's what Slot wants though. I think he wants a number 6 that's not a destroyer.
Yeah.
I think he wants a number 6 that's progressive with the ball and good in transition. Because I watched a lot of Liverpool in preseason and he did not fancy Endo one, but
but
didn't.
Endo,
There's an argument though that type of player in the Premier League, you need more than that,
No,
because there's a reason Man City have Rodri. There's a reason Thomas Partey, Declan Rice play at Arsenal. They are very good technically, but they're very good off the ball. Whereas he's trying to go the way kind of Barcelona went, and I'm not sure that'll work in England. I don't know how you feel about it, Stefan.
The only thing that concerns me, and I know you guys, because you guys always give me, I don't know if he has the physicality.
Yeah,
he's a bit small, guys, and if you have a midfield of him, McAllister, I'm not saying he's probably physically strong. He's got a low, he's got strong legs probably. I just worry for Liverpool because I honestly, when I watch him play, I honestly think it's like McAllister, but McAllister for me is a bit better. I'm going to be honest. Like, they're very similar. McAllister is very good on the ball. He's press resistant. He can dictate play. He's good at a bit. He can tackle, but he's not, like an elite DM. He can do a bit of everything well. And I think Zubimendi, if you watch him in the Euros final, I think he's very similar to that. I would say maybe he's a bit more defensive than McAllister, but for me, okay. But one game, like, it doesn't, it doesn't mean that he's amazing.
Stefan, I'm going to come back to Owen here, because Owen did reference that he thinks Liverpool need more. I'm going to ask you both this. We'll start with you, Owen. What else do Liverpool need before the window closes? If Zubimendi comes or he doesn't come, we know they want a number 6, a technical number 6. What else do they need? And of course, there still is that cloud hanging over a number of players there. And Liverpool ideally don't want to be going into September with these players not signed up the contract, because from January they can negotiate a pre-contract with foreign teams. And we know Trent, the Madrid links there. We know Salah's had numerous links to Europe and Saudi, and Van Dijk as well. I think all these boys, if they do leave, will go. I can't see them playing for our English team. So the worry will be that from January they can negotiate a big money contract and leave for nothing. So it's a big few weeks for Liverpool and them contracts issues.
I'm hearing that Trent's going to sit down this week and talk about his future. So that's the one for me that I really want done. As much as I love Van Dijk and love Salah, they're at the end of their careers compared to where Trent's going. Trent's 25, 26. So, but in terms of incomings, I think a centre back is a must. And I do want an hour forward, but we all know that Liverpool want Anthony Gordon, but that only comes in if we lose Diaz, which I don't know what's happening there. Liverpool seem to want Diaz to leave, which I don't understand, because I think Diaz is done okay. But for me, a centre back and maybe a centre back and a forward maybe would be
Stefan,
my. And
I just
on Liverpool, and you've seen this before with
yeah
Arsenal, Van Persie, Fabregas, players running down their contracts and leaving in the
yeah.
last year, the last 6 months. Is that the worry for Liverpool that even if they don't get Van Dijk and Salah lined up, they lose them
I honestly
superstar players for nothing? And we know now with PSR how difficult it is to do transfer deals. How big the next few weeks for Liverpool, do you think?
Trent isn't leaving. Liverpool fans, don't worry about that. He's not leaving. He's just trying to get a better deal. He's gonna stay. What I'm worried about is they have no succession plan for Van Dijk because let's be honest, Kanate is not, even though he's talented, he's too injury prone for him to be a succession per se to Van Dijk, in my opinion. And so for me, I'm shocked that Owen says forward because their recruitment over the last 3 years reminds me of kind of Arsenal's decline under Wenger, where they would continuously buy forwards, not buy a DM, and refuse to buy defenders for some reason. And if you look at their recruitment now, it's very similar, where they're finally trying to sign a DM after Fabinho left. Before, I mean, I know they signed Endo, but that was a stopgap. They never
we tried to
replaced.
get Caicedo as well, didn't we?
Yeah. They never. I don't, to this day. I don't think they've truly replaced Wijnaldum. You guys know my opinion on Szoboszlai. So for me, I would say their two number one priorities, and I can't believe you didn't say it, was left back and center back, because I know he's been a great servant and a great player, but let's be honest, he's regressed over the last 2 years. Yes, because of injury, because of age, but Andy Robertson, it's not the same player he is. Simicas, I mean, he lost.
I heard a number of Liverpool fans say that actually.
Yeah, and Simicas, the guy lost his place to Joe Gomez last season. Please. Don't tell me that this guy's the answer, please.
I think we've heard enough about Joe Gomez.
Yeah. So the fact that they put a right-footed center back as left back instead of a fit Simicas, I think tells you, I would say, a lot about him. I think they really need a left back, and if I was Liverpool, I would be moving heaven and earth to sign the Wolves left back. I think he's perfect.
We've been heavily. The
problem they've got, and we'll speak about this later, is they've just sold Neto for big money. They don't need to sell.
Yeah. They sold Neto and Kilman. They sold Neto and Kilman for big money.
They've covered their issues. So I don't see him moving. But lads, before we move on to Arsenal, quick predictions on these three players. Owen, start with you. Trent, Salah, Van Dijk. How many of those players are still at Liverpool next season?
2.
Who's Trent and
Van Dijk.
What do you think, Stefan?
This year? You mean this upcoming?
Sorry. I mean this time next year when the season's kicking off.
I think Salah's gone.
I think Salah's gonna go to the Saudi league. I really for big money. I think that's kind of been, if you read the newspapers, if you read all the journalists related to Liverpool, they're all saying like it's kind of inevitable, whether it's this year, next year, like he's gonna go. He's been their number one marquee kind of target since Ronaldo, and it makes sense, to be honest, from a marketing perspective. So I would say I'm gonna be honest. I think Van Dijk is also gonna leave. They haven't. Van Dijk came out in an interview today, which shocked me. They haven't even spoken to him.
Saying that
about a new deal. He is literally, like, I honestly think if
apparently we're not going to speak to them until the end of the close to the end of the year, so that's going to be,
which is shocking, Owen. Which, if I was Van Dijk,
maybe they believe that signing up the new contract, you're not going to get that world class centre back anymore, and maybe they feel that it's time just to move on. I don't know.
But I agree, Gareth. But I mean, look at the options.
You know that phrase. It's not what you've done for me; it's what you can do for me now.
No, but that's why. But if you look at their defense, the one thing that they're actually missing, if they want to play a possession-based style, is they need a left-footed defender. So I was really shocked.
Whether this has got anything to do with Kwanzaa, they do believe Kwanzaa is the next.
Kwanzaa, I really rate Kwanzaa. I think Kwanzaa is better than Joe Gomez, far better. I think he's going.
I think you think I'm better than Joe Gomez, and I can't even stand up.
I'm better than Joe Gomez. I guarantee you guys.
Boys, let's move on. Because time has taken. Let's talk about Arsenal, Stefan. We'll stick with you, and then we'll come back to Owen. breaking news today that Nketiah has moved the Marseilles off. They have pursued someone else and are close to agreeing a
Yeah.
deal. Roughly around the same kind of money, 25 million euros plus add-ons. Arsenal were not prepared to accept the 30 million euros on offer. I do believe there was a loan in there first with an
No,
obligation.
it wasn't 30 million, Gareth. It was like 24, 25. It wasn't that much.
Euros?
Yeah, it
Was
wasn't
it?
that much.
So it's even less. But I mean, Stefan, let's agree because Arsenal might have one value on him, but at the end of the day, he's only worth what our teams are willing to pay. Have Arsenal misplaced that? This is a player who only scored 5 goals last year, and 3 of them came in the one game. I know he didn't get loads of opportunities, but it's fair to say when he has had the opportunities, he's never done it consistently. And I can't remember maybe that one goal against Man United where he scored a couple of seasons ago. I can't remember too many massive goals in his time at Arsenal.
No, I mean, he's not. I've always said this to you. He's not good enough. But Arsenal have a reputation which they need to change. I'll give you an example.
Sorry as well,
Owen is
Stefan. He's also on $100 a week, which doesn't help
Yeah,
matters.
which is
And he's nowhere near the England setup. So he's nowhere near it. So
which is true. But okay, I agree with you, right? But Arsenal need to change. They have a reputation of being poor sellers, as you know. The Emil Smith Rowe deal, love it. Great deal. A guy that hasn't scored a goal since 2022, Premier League goal, 35 million. This is what I want.
I'm going to let you continue as well. I'm going to let you continue on, but just to stop you there, I think the difference with Smith Rowe is people have seen what Smith Rowe can do, and he's been unlucky. He's got a ceiling, hasn't he? Whereas Nketiah, we're not sure if he is going to be a top player, or whereas with Smith Rowe, we've seen him on numerous occasions, and I think he deserves that opportunity.
Nketiah's not young anymore, though. He's like 24, 25, is it at this point?
I think he's 23 still. I don't think he's. But here's the point I'm trying to make. Right, I agree with you guys. I don't think he's good enough. I completely agree. However, when I see for example, Liverpool, I'm going to use Liverpool in a positive way.
As my God, shocking news!
Shocking. They sold They sold Ryan Brewster for 20 million. Gareth, who hadn't. I don't think he played a Premier League game when they sold him. Second thing is.
Also sold Carvalho in the last 15 minutes there for 27.5 million.
Exactly. Fabio Carvalho, I don't care what Liverpool fans tell me. He has been horrendous in his 2 loan spells. He was a bench warmer at Hull City, Gareth, last year. So so Arsenal need to change that perception. Eddie Nketiah, I don't think he's gonna, but Eddie is the record goal scorer for the England under 21s. Eddie has an England cap. Yeah. Eddie is English, just that. Eddie has over 100 Premier League appearances. That is worth at least 20 to 25 million pounds, in my opinion. And if you look at what Liverpool are demanding and getting, they're demanding for Sepp Vandenberg, I think, 20 million quid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
I mean,
sometimes, Gareth, I'm not saying we should go to the extreme of Levy demanding 40 million for Oliver Skip, but Arsenal can't. But maybe find the balance. Arsenal can't just give away their assets. Like this is what I mean by my fan base when I say I sometimes I despise a lot of like the.
Stefan, I know what you're saying, and I know they can't be seen that they were selling players too cheap years ago, and the fact that Smith Rowe's the record deal for 35 million tells you everything that Arsenal's selling policy has been poor. But when you think about Ramsdale, you think about Nelson, and you think about Nketiah. These are players they want to shift, and at the moment, there's no movement on them.
No. See, here's the thing. Reece Nelson, I completely get. Reece Nelson, I don't think unless we sell him to maybe a higher championship, or maybe one of the promoted sides, I would say
I think Leicester were on from, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
They were priced out.
But Eddie, Eddie Nketiah could easily play for a mid-table to a lower-table Premier League side. Eddie is not as bad as people. He's just not good enough.
Well, at the moment, these teams are interested. This is what we're trying to say.
No, but I guarantee you they will be, because some teams will start badly.
Maybe Arsenal have our interest.
I'm telling you guys, in the last 2 weeks, people said this about Iwobi. We sold him for 40 million to Everton. So and teams will panic, because one of those teams that we're saying that are currently not interested, they're going to start crap. They're going to lose their first 3 games where they can't score a goal, and they're going to be like, okay, Eddie Nketiah is available for 25 to 30 million. Some of those teams will pay it, because Eddie Nketiah is better than the Ipswich No, he's better than the Ipswich center forward. He's better than I would say he can play for 20% of the actual Premier League teams.
And
if
what's
we
your
don't,
thoughts on
but
Nketiah?
I wouldn't.
just the final thing, and I'll let you guys. If we don't set a standard, guys, they will continue to undersell players. And those same Arsenal fans that are now moaning about us not selling Eddie Nketiah to Marseille's demands are the same ones that were moaning 2 or 3 years ago when we sold Guendouzi for, I don't know, what was it, 17 million euros, when we sold Emi Martinez for 20 million quid. They're the same hypocritical fans now. So in my opinion, we need to set a standard.
Owen, your thoughts on Nketiah? Because, as he says, Arsenal are trying to change their policy of being lowball for players, but at what point in the next few weeks does this become critical? Because we know they have to move out to get players in, and we'll speak to Stefan in a few moments about players coming in. But your thoughts on Nketiah? Do you feel that 30 million is fair, or do you think Arsenal may have to lower their demands?
In today's market, I think it's a decent price for a mid-table Premier League striker. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like Bournemouth or something come on from, because
apparently Bournemouth are in talks for another striker at the moment. So
yeah,
that's the
it's gonna
that can change.
I think they could Brentford. If Brentford were to shift Tony, that may be an opportunity, but we'll see. Owen, your thoughts before bringing Stefan back in. Sorry.
About Nketiah, I definitely think he doesn't need moved on. He doesn't need moved on because Arsenal do need. Like, you can't rely on Jesus Sealer because he's always injured and Havertz is hitting miss at times. So I think Arsenal do need to ship out somebody to get a top striker in. Whether they do at this window is a different issue for them. But it's going to be an interesting. I think the window's going to pick up in the next week or two before it finishes.
Sure. Yeah. Stefan, coming back to the implications of the likes of Ramsdale and Nketiah, Nelson, if they aren't able to shift them, is that going to hamper Arsenal in the transfer market? I know you'll probably say that they don't need much, but I think they really want to get it. Merino will probably come in, but they probably want that one attacker, whether it's a winger or a striker. And I think that probably relies on Nelson and Nketiah moving on.
I just think for me, my priority would be a winger. We need the only spot now, if we get Merino, I mean, and I think we will eventually, but if we get Merino, I think the only spot in the team that doesn't have really good competition, where the players are a little Saka, and I think we need to sign a really good. But from what I'm reading, and I kind of agree with Arsenal, we can't just keep spending and not make any sort of good sales. And we need to sign a really good right winger. And
who do you think? Because we know Neto's moving.
I really like Neto. You know me. I'm gutted that he went to Chelsea.
Do you going to PSG? Eze still there, but he's more of a left side player.
So Eze doesn't fit our system.
What about Bakayoko from PSG?
Yeah, but Bakayoko's really good. But the problem is he came out in the media before the Euro saying that, and to be honest, I don't want anywhere near a player like that. Saying he wants guaranteed playing time, that just tells me he's not the right.
He says he wants a guaranteed playing time at a fight.
His next move,
Champions League.
No, but his next move needs to be with guaranteed playing time, which for me that just shows me that he's not the right mentality to play in a big club.
Problem you'll have too, Stefan, and with Spurs had this problem with Harry Kane is no matter how whoever comes on, they're relying on Saka to get injured because he's going to play, isn't he? It doesn't matter about rest and rotation because you're going to be playing Champions League, you're going to be playing Premier League, and Saka's your main boy. He's going to play every week.
I disagree. If you bring in a top quality winger that can compete with him, the moment Saka drops off, for example, people 2 years ago thought dropping Martinelli, for example, was almost impossible in terms of the way he was playing. He was our top goal scorer in the Prem. He had scored 16 goals or something, or 15. He dropped off. Trossard came in and immediately took over. So this is a problem.
It's the problem we have as well with Salah, because if he drops off, we don't really have anyone that can come in and keep the level.
Yeah. But Salah is a different level. Who do I bring in? See, this is really difficult, guys, because he has to be, I would say, he has to be good competition, but at the same time, it has to be realistic.
Rafinha?
I like Rafinha, but I don't think he wants to leave Barca. I'm gonna be a bit controversial. I really want us to try for Sane from Bayern Munich.
Mm.
He's
I
the one that's been linked, like, isn't he?
I've seen
But
some Arsenal fans
he's
mention Mudryk.
German. He's
Mudryk
German.
was been
Yeah,
mentioned, isn't he?
honestly, you guys are gonna laugh. I would love. I think the thing that we lack, the only thing, if we sign Merino, the only thing that we lack in our team, and if you watched Arsenal Liverpool, for example, the preseason friendly where they beat us, they didn't. We were the better team in that game, but they beat us because they had pure speed on the wings and
Well,
pure
that's great having speed,
counter-attacking
but
speed.
if you've seen a complication of Mudryk shooting, I mean, it's hitting back
I get it.
goal it's
I'm
corner
telling you
flags.
though. I'm telling you, though, Chelsea right now is a graveyard. I mean, okay, for example, guys, I'll give you one good example. Would you guys take Caicedo at Liverpool and at Spurs?
Not from what I've seen in my Chelsea. No chance.
Exactly. Okay, but you would take him because of what you have seen at Brighton, right? But he
If we
went
had
to
a-
Chelsea.
If
Here,
we
tell
had
you
a
what,
son,
a lot of players have left Brighton and not delivered, so maybe it's something I don't know.
No, that's not true, Gareth.
McAllister's the only one I can think of has been decent.
What about Ben White?
Cucurella has been poor.
Ben White there.
Casado's been poor. I don't think Basuma's set
Yes,
the world on fire at
and
Spurs.
guys, and what is the common denominator of all those Brighton players that have regressed since they've moved? Where have they gone? Which club have they gone to?
Chelsea. Yeah.
Exactly. But Ben White went to Arsenal last year. Arguably, was the best right back in the league, especially after the actual New Year. McAllister was easily, I would argue, McAllister apart from Salah was Liverpool's best player. Apart from Salah, so he's been really good. So every other team that moves for Brighton players, apart from Chelsea, I mean, they even signed Brighton's
Chelsea's
third
so bad. Then
goalkeeper.
why is Cole Palmer shining then?
Okay, you picked one success story, Gareth. I can name you.
Just saying.
I can name you 20. Okay,
I know
Badia
what I'm
Shire.
saying is, if the argument's there, you could argue that Palmer's been even better
No,
than he's been. So
No, you can't, because if you look at all of the signings that they have made, literally the only success story has been Cole Palmer, and maybe you could argue Jackson.
But the
Maybe
thing
Jackson,
with
that
Mudryk,
is it.
Mudryk, getting back to Mudryk, maybe not
Yeah.
so much Casado, but Mudryk was signed off the back of a few games as well. You know, we haven't really seen him do anything other than a few good games for Shakhtar.
I watch him, Gareth, and I watched him for Shakhtar. Okay, and I just if he came to Arsenal, he would have been really good. That speed that he has. No, if you
I
went to
think he's a
Liverpool.
headless chicken. I'll be totally
No,
honest with you.
okay, yeah, because Gareth, he needs to be coached. He needs to be coached, and he's young, he's raw, and he went to the worst environment possible for a young Ukrainian player that had no experience in the Premier League. I honestly do believe that if he came to Arsenal, where he would not have started, where there wouldn't have been as much pressure, where Arteta would have gotten more time to coach him and the other coaches, that speed, Gareth, that he has.
He's a magician, because I think it's just not at the level. But look, I'm sure we'll speak about Mudryk again at some stage before the end of this window, because I think Chelsea have to start selling players.
Probably when he's hitting the corner out for a one or something.
Stefan, let's stick with you, because
You guys are hard.
we've been here a long time, done a lot of good work, and I think we spoke about this before. But as a crunch time now, Stefan, does the process have to deliver this season?
Yeah, for sure. We have to win the league this year. I think this is the year. I hope we make the right signings. I told you before the actual after the season finished that there were two positions that were unstable in the Arsenal team where we needed to improve, and judging by our moves, we've improved them. We've signed a left back, and we're going to sign hopefully a left 8, which is, I think, the other position that was not always certain for Arsenal. And for me, I would say a forward would help us, but it's not as much of a need as those two positions. I would love a new forward. I would love just anybody with speed, Gareth, whether it's Mudryk, Adingra from Brighton, Sane, whoever. I just want someone with transitional speed, like Liverpool have Jota, Diaz,
What do you
Salah.
think about that? What do you think about that comment from Darner? Do you agree with that, or?
I just want to ask the narrative that there is, and it really pisses me off. I'm going to be honest. Is when Klopp lost 8 out of 9 league titles, it was always about how good Man City were. It was always about how tough it was. He always moaned about the money. Now, when Arteta is battling with Man City, who are literally signing a player that they own from another club and are under indictment for 115 charges, now Arteta has to deliver or not. So I agree.
I think when he phrases that, even I think if he was to finish second and won an FA Cup, it would still be a strong season. I think it's the fact that
I
he
did
hasn't
no.
won anything else.
I want
other
us
than
to
that
win the
FA
league,
Cup.
Gareth. I'm fed up of FA Cups. We've won.
No, but at least you have a backup. I think the difference with Klopp, maybe not so much in the early years, but he did win a lot of trophies. He won the Champions League as well. He won the FA Cup, League Cup a few times.
No. This is what I mean by the media loving for Klopp. Everybody talks about him winning. No, but wait, it's not, because if you look at the I'll tell you why. If you look at the domestic trophies that he won, that everybody raves about, oh look, he's won one FA Cup and 2 League Cups. Nobody talks about the fact that in the first 5 or 6 years, when he was actually challenging and going head to head with Man City, he never took those cups seriously. He always went out early from those cups because he completely prioritized the Champions League and the Premier League. So everybody talks about them now because, let's be honest, Liverpool.
But what I'm saying is he still did. He got the couple of Champions League finals as well. He was in 3 Champions League finals, won one of them.
I'm not denying his success. He's an amazing coach. He's a generational coach. But this loving that they have, especially that's been pissing me off in the media about his affinity towards domestic trophies, forgetting the fact that he completely ignored them his first 5 to 6 years of his tenure, and then took them seriously once he wasn't as competitive with Man City, is a little bit biased. And
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But what I'm saying is, I think if Arsenal finish the season second again, but they have an FA Cup, they still have something to celebrate. Of course, the fact that they're getting tinted by United fans saying we've had a better season, Ten Hag's won more trophies than Arteta, it stops all that stuff, doesn't it?
Okay, yeah, I completely agree with you on that. But if you look at where Arsenal are and where Man United are, Arsenal have won.
They're completely different places. But what I'm saying to you is, the still United fans will tell you that he's won more than Arteta.
Okay,
I would rather win trophies and finish second, though. That's the thing.
Guys. I completely agree with that. However, every club has a different context. When we used to win FA Cups, when we won, I think the FA Cup 2 years or 3 years in a row. Everybody called it, oh, it's not that. Why? Because it glossed over the fact that Arsenal weren't well run, that they weren't challenging in the league. The same way with Ten Hag. If he doesn't win that FA Cup, guys, he loses his job. He loses his job. Everybody knows.
The only thing I would say, though, it's still, if he was to finish the season again second and 1-0, I think he's under serious pressure. I think if he finishes second and wins an FA Cup, there's no talk about his future.
I agree. I agree with that, but I want us to aim for. We need to win. He has
to win one of the big. He has to win one of the big.
He has to win the league. He has to. In my opinion, this is the season. Man City. Don't look. If you look at all of their best players, Kevin De Bruyne is aging. I would say they're losing players that I don't think they can. I know Pep Guardiola is amazing.
I agree. I think this is Arsenal's best chance.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the players that they just lost, Julian Alvarez, who, I mean, a lot of people are saying he was a bench player. I would disagree with that. He was a very important player for Man City. Although he didn't start every single game, he scored numerous key goals for them to win games.
Money was too good to turn down, but I mean, that's you're chatting on the near the 100 million mark, and we've seen Gareth Bale, Ronaldo, Hazard, Harry Kane. I don't put Alvarez on that bracket.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I just think the fee was nuts. I don't know what Atletico. I think he's a talented player, but
he even started Atletico. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Atletico. Sorry, what's your thoughts? I'll give Stefan a break here. What's your thoughts
on Arsenal
on Arsenal here? It's and we're here. What they say, we're not out to get Arsenal here because they're doing great stuff. But
well, you probably are.
Oh, guys, breaking news. Sorry to interrupt. Bournemouth are gonna make a bid for Eddie. Speaking of, guys,
there we go.
I got the Solanke one right last week, and now get me on, guys.
There you go. Some good news for Arsenal fans. If they can move Eddie on, maybe they will get a winner or a striker. But Owen, as I says, we're not out to get Arsenal. As much as I obviously don't want Arsenal to win anything, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to sit here and they're I would love Spurs to be in Arsenal's position. So you have to be respectful, but there is that pressure that they have they won, and if they can't win one of the big two, at least have something in the trophy cabinet for all this great football and the success they're having. So, what do you think is important this year? I mean, how much pressure is Arteta under to deliver something?
For me, it's sort of similar to Klopp in a way. Yes, they won one of the big two. I think, like winning an FA Cup's great, but yes, they get over. Yes, they get over that hurdle of winning a Champions League or
Yeah, because I mean, if Klopp had lost that final, the Spurs and Pochettino, it could have worked out differently for him, because there would have been that question mark of, can he get him over the line?
Like, if you think about it, we won the Champions League in 2019, then we won the league the year after. So like, it is like a springboard for success. So I do as much as winning an FA Cup and a League Cup's great. I would have swapped the League Cup we won last season for winning like the Europa League. So it's like, you have to win one of the big ones you're in, and I think Arsenal are in that position. But as much as we banter Arsenal, like, they are in a great position to go and do that.
They are, and I think they could be. They're actually, I think they could be the favourites this year. That's how much I would say they're.
I mean, if we sign the midfielder, I think Merino's perfect, to be honest, for that position. And if we sign a winger,
Merino?
He's 27.
28,
27. He's no, but this is what I like. We're signing ready-made. He's a Champions League midfielder, and if what I'm reading, if we manage to sign Mikel Merino for
20 million euros,
20 million, that is, apart from maybe Daichi Kamada for Palace for free, I would say that's the best deal of the year, in my opinion.
Lads, let's move on and let's talk about. I'm not sure if Stefan thinks this is the deal of the year, but we'll start with you, Owen. Spurs sign Dominic Solanke for club record fee, 55 million plus 10 million in add-ons. A big fee. It's been talked about across the media. A lot of people feel that Spurs have overpaid. Some Spurs fans are saying, well, if you want a 20-goal season striker, and he did it last year, this is what you have to pay. And what do you think of this deal? You did say you thought there was this a couple of weeks ago when there was no talk of this. You thought there might be something to do with Solanke and Spurs, and it turned out that was Ange's top target. So, your thoughts on Solanke going to Spurs for that kind of fee?
Here, I'm happy Liverpool got a bit of money from it, so. But no, as much as I like Solanke as a player, he's not a upwards of 60 million player. Now, he could be good for Spurs, but scoring 20 goals for Bournemouth is a lot different than scoring 20 goals a season for a club that's going to want to fight for the cups and the Europa League this season and get in the top four. So for me, it could go one of two ways. He could hit the ground running, or it could be another like beanpole striker that you regret, like a Soldado or a Vincent Janssen from back in the day. So,
and I'll tell you what, there's a lot more money involved this time around as well. Stefan, what was your thoughts when this news is breaking? And of course, it happened very quickly. He signed on Saturday. The news came out a few days before, and it was done by Saturday. And he comes in for £65 million.
I mean, my thoughts were kind of, the word is lukewarm. He's not a bad. He's a good player. He's a solid player. Had a great season, scoring 19 goals. That's really, really good. You can't dismiss that. But that's one season. That's only one season. I had a more in-depth look at his metrics.
28 goals in 112 games.
Forget that. Just forget that. I'm talking about metrics like NPXG, how many dribbles he does, how successful he is. Richarlison was better in over half of the metrics compared to him, which Richarlison is nowhere.
Richarlison actually had a decent season last year. He scored 12 goals and only played 20 all games. So
but
he actually had a decent season.
But here's the worst part. Here's the common denominator between both of those. All of their goals that they scored, Gareth, were against the lower or the relegated sides. They didn't score one. I think Solanke scored a goal against, I think it was Man United.
I think Richarlison was United was the highest as well.
And who doesn't score against them last season?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but all I'm gonna say is that this is a massive gamble from Levy. And the one thing I just want to ask your opinion. I honestly think he wasn't your first choice, and I'll tell you why. Why did you sign him now? You had 2 months to agree this deal. Why wait so long
Who knows?
to
Who
agree this
knows?
deal when he didn't go to the Euros? You signed him
No, the
1
only
week.
thing I would say is I'm looking at who's out there, and there isn't a lot of options. I
Tony-
think Osimhen's too
Tony would have
expensive.
been. Even Tony would
Tony,
have been perfect. I
I
think.
think
Yeah,
the
but
thing we're hearing about
he's a
Tony is he
prick.
won't sit the system.
He's a prick. No, guys, they slashed the price to 30 million pounds, and nobody is touching him
Yeah.
still.
And
Imagine,
the other players,
how
I mean, we've
bad.
been linked with Victor Gyökeres, but they want about 100 million for him.
No.
I think he's priced out of move everywhere. And the other name that was mentioned was Openda, but I think again, money. Solanke may have
Leipzig,
been the
I read Leipzig wanted like 80, 90 million euros for him.
And they just
So-
sold
so like-
they just sold Danny Olmo as well, so that you're not getting no penalties.
Exactly, yeah. So no, but,
Owen,
yeah,
how much of a gamble as Solanke? He scored 19 Premier League goals last year, 21 in all the competitions. But before them 19 goals, he'd only scored 9 other Premier League goals in his time
it's
here.
pretty
So
shocking.
he scored
yeah.
28
Not
goals in 112 games. So if you factor out last season, his record hasn't been great. Scored a lot of goals in the Championship, but other than last season, he would have never been linked with a club that are trying to fight under the Champions League spot. So our Spurs could this be a one-season wonder and Spurs be left with their pants down?
Wait, Owen, let me just ask Gareth, because this is on Spurs. Let me just ask him this question. Gareth, before the summer transfer window started, we talked and stuff. Be honest. You said that you needed a striker.
Yeah.
In your top 3, did you want
He would
Solanke?
have been anywhere near it.
Right? Okay. So that's enough.
Sorry, go ahead on.
No, it could be. As I said, it could be one of them ones where you're looking back again, and it's like a Vincent Janssen situation. It's like a Soldado situation.
Oh, come
You
on.
could go the
It's
other
not
way.
that
when
bad.
it's- No, I know he's not that bad. I know he's not that bad of a player, but I mean, like it could have the same. Like it could not work out there. But for him, it's a big move for him. He's been around a few big Premier League clubs, and it hasn't worked before. So third time's the charm, maybe for him. So it's a big move for him.
I think Stefan questions buying on any Spurs fan that tells you he was on your top list at the start of the summer's lane.
Yeah.
But
No,
a
but
lot of
it's not
Spurs
because
fans are taking the positives and saying, well, they're watching his goals last year and he could
Yeah,
score
yeah.
different types of goals. So I suppose they have to back him now, boys. But I mean,
no, Gareth.
Stefan, Anne says this was his top target. You don't believe that, but do you think he is the right fit for Spurs' system? He's a pressing forward. He can score with his head, his right foot, his left foot. He's big, strong, powerful. And if you look at a lot of his goals last year, they're all very different goals. So, he's a player inside the box that causes problems.
I wouldn't say that if you watch, I wouldn't say they're all very different. I would say they're quite similar. If you watch most of his goals, he's making runs into the box, running onto the ball, usually on a transition and then finishing. And I also read he's got, I think, the most headed goals from last year, even more than Watkins. However, Gareth, okay, he's good in the air, especially when it comes to like transitions and you cross. You haven't got one guy that can cross.
No.
What's
a lot of our crosses they come on their feet. They come low cutbacks.
Yeah, I know. Apart from Poro, your wingers, I haven't seen him. Honestly, now watching your style, I haven't seen one cross in the air. Everything's on the ground. So
maybe that'll change with Solanke. I'm not sure. Boys, quick question for you, Owen. How many goals will Solanke score, Premier League goals this season?
7.
I can't see.
If he scored 7, he'd be under serious pressure.
No, but wait, Owen, tell me because I had to look at his time at Liverpool, and I saw he had 32 appearances in one season for Liverpool. Did he play, or did he just come on as a sub mainly?
No, it was mainly on the bench.
Was he any good?
I think,
but that must have been 5 or 6 years ago now. That must be a long time ago.
No, I think, to be honest, I think he'll score. He'll score. I'm gonna say 12. I'll say 12.
Well, Stefan, how many do you think he'll score? League goals?
I'm thinking because this system, you don't have a problem scoring goals.
No, Spurs
I'm gonna go for 15.
I think if he hits 15, that will be a decent return on his first season.
I think 15. Yeah.
Spurs' problems. They need to sort out their set pieces.
Well, we'll speak a bit about that, Owen, because the Bayern Munich game on Saturday, the first half was a bit of a shambles. They were getting ripped open, and every time across, done from a free kick, it was panic stations. And I don't know what's going on there with the set pieces, but what else do Spurs now? I have to say they bring balance on it because I'm very fair. When the second half came on, Van de Ven and Romero, it
Yeah,
looked
these are
completely
better
different
than-
there, and it looked a lot better. But Dragisin, for me, the jury's out already with him. I'm not sure he can play in Ange's system because I don't think
I
he's got
told
the
you,
pace.
Gareth.
No, he's
And
not great.
see what teams are doing. These Spurs actually, they're playing through their midfield. So Dragison's strengths are on the air and blocks, and teams aren't having to do that, so they're just going through the midfield. So I'm not sure he'd be utilised. I think Dragison would be perfect for like a Sean Dyche Everton team when they're clearing
Yeah.
headers. Who's your
We'll
man?
be
But anyway, we'll come back to that. Ben Davis for me, not good enough for that centre back
Nice.
role. So it's important for Spurs that Romero and Van de Ven's back and fit,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they'll be on the team on Monday night against Leicester. This time next week, we'll just be about to kick off that Monday Night Football. But what else do you think they need? Because we're hearing that Spurs want to sign at least one more player, and that player being a wide player. So what do you think, Aaron?
I don't think Spurs need another forward. I think they
Yeah.
need the. I think it's their defense needs sorting. I know they have Van de Ven and Romero, but I mean the drop off from them two is just astounding. Like, it's really bad. Like the drop off from them two. So I think if they can go get a decent backup centre back, they could be grand. But I know they want Eze, but I've said to you numerous times, I can't see a world where Madison and Eze can play together.
No, and you have Kulusevski there as well. I think he has to play
Yeah.
in the middle. I don't think he can play in the right hand side because he's too predictable. He has to play in the middle. And I'm just not sure. Brennan Johnson's hit and miss, so I think that's why they're looking at a new winner. Son's your obvious one, but
I think they wanted Neto, didn't they?
Timo Werner is just not good enough. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if
Owen,
looked at
they
the
wanted Neto and offered Oliver Skip as part of the deal. If
I'd be
I was
looking.
Wolves,
I would be going to
I
Brentford
would never pick
for
up the
Brian
phone
and Buemo.
again.
I think Brian and Buemo would be a great signing for Spurs.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think he's very
Liverpool were
smart.
linked with him earlier on in the window.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's
Stefan, what did
definitely-
you make? Did you watch the Spurs Bayern Munich game on Saturday?
I did. I
What did you
actually
make of
watched
that?
almost
What did you make of that?
almost. You would be surprised because the timings of the games were very good. Like they were in the middle of the day. Bulgarian TV showed most of the actual Spurs friendlies. So I watched most of them. Look, guys, I've prepared today. I've got stats for you. So Spurs in the last 20 games of the season, where 17 of them they played with their full defense, with Romero, with Porro, with their full back five of Vicario, the goalie, and everybody else.
Yeah.
How many
I
goals?
think possibly Udogi might have missed the last 5 or 6
No,
games.
that's why I said out of the 20 games, 17 they played with their full defense, because Udogi missed the last 2 or 3 games, and I think Van de Ven missed one of them also.
Yeah.
At the start in the last 20. How many goals did they concede? This is shocking, guys. How many do you
Must be
think?
conceding at least 2 or 3 a game.
How many in the last 20 games? Give me a number.
I'm gonna say 40.
Okay, Gareth, you?
I would say 38.
You guys are on point. 40 goals.
40.
40, that's two. That is you average the same amount of goals conceded.
Well, I said this to you when I said we'll have to score 3 every week. They won.
Well, yeah, but okay. So watching that,
that's not sustainable.
So watching the fact that you conceded 61 goals, how in the world do you think? Let's buy another center forward. It is obvious for me. I've told you this from the start of last season when I said he's not that good. He's rubbish at that position. You need a number 6. It is glaringly obvious that you need a holding midfielder.
I don't
Well, they signed the same one, Archie Gray. He might not be ready, but that's who they're going for.
Did you, Gareth? Be honest now. I know you're a Spurs fan, and Archie Gray in those 2 Bayern Munich games was awful. He was completely out of it.
He's not been exposed to that kind of level.
Yeah, but okay,
but they're not going to play against Bayern Munich. They're not going to play against the level of Bayern Munich every week.
No, but how do you tell me? In my opinion, there are 3 positions in world football in the top teams where you cannot play a young player: goalkeeper, center back, unless he's special, or not. For me, the most difficult one to play, number 6. Tell me one top team in the Premier League that is in the top 4 that has a number 6.
I'm not saying he's going to play every week. I think he'll still go with Basuma. Well, that might change because Basuma's been in the news for all the wrong reasons in the last 24 hours. But he could be dropped. But that might leave me a problem. I think simply Ange is just going to live and die by this attacking football, and he's going to either get sacked or Spurs is going to be up there competing. I don't know how, but they're going to have to score every week.
No,
I messaged you after the second Bayern goal, and I just went, "What is that like?"
no. Just the final thing. If you look at what Spurs have done, look at, for example, Liverpool, for example. That's a well-run club. Liverpool, they had a glaring, I think, obvious. We talked about it last year. They need a quality number 6. Who are they after? Zubimendi.
Problem
Arsenal.
is, Stefan, there's not that many out there.
No, I know, but
quality, and
I'm
Spurs
just
will be at
saying.
the top of their list to come.
But I'm just saying there. You could see a strategy and a vision. As, for example, Arsenal, they needed a better defensive left back or more reliable. I really rate Tomiyasu, but he's not reliable. He's always injured. So who do they sign? They sign one of the highest rated defenders from Serie A, who plays both left back and center back.
Yeah.
This Spurs, it was glaringly obvious last year that, for example, not only do you need a number 6, in my opinion, you need a versatile fullback, because the moment Udogie and especially Porro for me now, Porro for me,
playing like strikers.
Yeah, but Porro, if he gets injured, Gareth, who comes in for Porro?
Well, maybe
are you going to say Gray again?
Spence, maybe.
Spence, probably.
Oh my! Oh, okay.
We'll move on, because we could talk about Spurs and their frailties all day long. But let's look at the rest of the transfer business in the last few days, boys. Chelsea signed Pedro Neto out of absolutely nowhere for £54 million. Just going to ask you quickly, lads, for your thoughts on some of these, because we are coming up to 1 hour here, and we want to still look ahead to the Premier League action this weekend. So
Chelsea's training ground's going to need about 17 different pitches.
I actually seen a picture. I actually seen a picture, and it was Freddie Mercury at Live Aid. And all the fans all day and says Chelsea welcome all their players to the training ground. But it's crazy what's happening at Chelsea, and we're used to that over the last few years. Owen, what's your thoughts on Pedro Neto going to Chelsea?
He's a great player, but the issue is, can they keep him fit? That if he could stay fit, he's a top player. So good signing, but whether they can keep him fit is a different thing.
Stefan, as Pedro Neto going to suffer the same fate as Mudryk, Caicedo, the Chelsea-itis that you're speaking about?
First, yeah, I mean, Gareth, they're 5 players away from starting an NFL team. They have 48 players now on record.
They've about 20 goalkeepers. I've never heard of them.
They're signing more. They've signed some 16-year-old from Belgium for 20 mil. Mike Penders, or what was his name? They have no idea what they're doing. They're a complete clown show.
That thing with Conor Gallagher too was a disgrace.
No, he's still. By the way, he's still in a hotel. This transfer saga rivals Wingy showing up to the training ground.
We'll come on to talk about Gallagher in a few minutes. What's your thoughts on Neto?
I'm gutted. You guys know I love Neto.
Spurs fans too. We're looking at Neto as well.
I love Neto. I think he can easily play for Arsenal or Liverpool, and I honestly think he can compete with Saka. I really do. I think potentially wise, I think he's at that level, and
it's just the injury problem.
He's made of glass. Let's be honest. And Chelsea's medical staff last year were not doctors; they were archaeologists. So
when you're averaging 15 games a season over 5 years, it's not good.
No, but that's coming from Wolves, and now he goes to Chelsea, where their medical staff is horrendous, where every single player that gets injured has a setback or is out for much longer.
You wonder though, when these players, I know they're getting paid huge money, but when does a penny drop that going to Chelsea might be a good idea? Because Pedro Neto's seen what's happened there over the last few years, but he still decides to go there. Well, that's up. I mean. So maybe Arsenal and Spurs, Liverpool dodge the bullet, because if he's only interested.
No, I think Chelsea were the only ones, as always. They overpaid. I think Arsenal, Liverpool, and Spurs valued him at around 40 to 45 million because of his injury. I think based on his ability, he has a 50. He's kind of where Diogo Jota was when Liverpool bought him. I think he's a 50 to maybe 60 if you're like maybe slightly overpaying. But I think Chelsea just said. I think Chelsea have a massive deal with. If you look at all of their signings, they're all rated to Jorge Mendes. And look at who they're linked with now. I mean, Joao Felix. How convenient
we'll talk about those, because we are going to speak about those players. We did speak about this earlier. Alvarez, the Atletico, we sort of says what we thought about it, overpaying as well. In the last hour or so, AC Milan have confirmed the signing of Emerson Royale, and Tottenham fans delighted.
I'm gutted.
Daniel Levy gets a lot of stick, but I'm not sure how you managed to convince AC Milan to pay £15 million for Emerson Royale. Owen, what's your thoughts on this? Spurs will be happy to see the back of him.
I think whoever's running AC Milan's transfer business needs to be investigated for fraud or something. But nah, good deal for Spurs. Good move for Royale. Let's be honest. Like AC Milan is a big club, but
Hey,
he,
Barcelona, Spurs, AC Milan. There's players like that seem to get these moves despite being
This is
such
nuts. Yeah,
poor
Arthur
average footballers.
Arthur
Stefan's
Arthur
got it, so
Melo.
I'm assuming that's good news for Spurs.
I um I think it's great news for Spurs. I think he's a horrendous player. Let's be honest.
Mm.
I
The
think,
thing that
but I'll give him credit for one thing. He's got a great attitude. He
Yeah.
seems like a great character. That's very professional. Always trains. Doesn't
the
doesn't throw
Apparently one of the best
tantrums.
trainers at the club,
But
Mine says.
yeah, but you know what? You know what the funniest thing, guys? Guess who the sporting director of Milan is?
Is he
Ibrahimovic.
Brazilian? Brazilian, probably, is he?
No, it's Ibrahimovic. I think is technical. I think the sporting director is Paolo Maldini, one of the greatest defenders of all time.
I think that did he not leave? Did he not?
Oh yeah, he left. Well, still,
So that's
it's
Ibrahimovic.
Ibrahimovic.
Crazy.
Ibrahimovic.
Boys, just on Stefan, when we're here, I know we've said about Solanke being big money, but one thing that Spurs have been quite good at this window is shifting players out that weren't really part of the plans. We've seen Royale go, Joe Rodon's gone, Højbjerg's gone. A lot of our players have left on their contracts expiring, so Spurs have shifted a lot of that dead wood.
And Dombele. Too.
Dombele,
You guys
Tanganga.
finally terminated his contract.
From what I'm hearing, Reguilon, believe it or not, could be going to Barcelona on a cup price
That
deal.
is, yeah. That's
Barcelona,
another player. No,
he's an
that's
our
another player.
Spurs,
Real Madrid,
Barcelona, Man United. You know,
Man United.
Arthur Melo too. One of them players.
And we
Barcelona.
are expecting Spurs are also expecting Lo Celso to move on before the end of the window. So Spurs can shift all these players out, and it frees up a lot of wages because a lot of these players was on big money too.
But Gareth, the issue is that you've paid massive. Like, for example, if you look at the business, and I just checked, it's not 50 million pounds, it's 50 million euros. So
well,
you
from what I
basically
hear, it's 15 million euros plus 3 million euros add-ons. So
okay, yeah, but
15 million.
you still made a pretty big loss on Royale, who was, I think,
half.
25.
We lost half. We bought him for 30 million euros or something.
Giovanni Lo Celso, I severely doubt you're going to get anything from Real Betis. They have no money.
I think
Maybe Aston Villa,
euros.
Aston Villa might come in, but I honestly, his injury record is. I read a shocking stat.
Stefan, we were speaking about it earlier in Nketiah, and these players probably have value. These players at Spurs don't have any value, so it really is just about getting what you can.
No, actually, I would say Lo Celso does have value because he's one of the few players that he did well for. Who was he on loan that won the Europa?
Villarreal.
He did well there.
But he didn't sit the English league.
Yeah, I agree, but he always plays well. He always plays well in the for Argentina. So I think in European leagues like the Spanish league or the Italian league, I think the problem is how much does Daniel Levy want?
Well, his contract expires in June as well, so he's one of our players.
So every team is going to look, and from what I read, he's on big wages.
Yeah,
also,
I think if Spurs get somewhere between 15 to 20 million euros, he'll be gone.
Would you invest? I read a shocking stat on him. Is this true? He's only finished a full 90 minutes for Spurs since he's come 6 times. Is that true?
He's been there a long time and it's not really worked out. He's had the all good game, but just not seen enough. And I think for Spurs now, it's just important that they shift this out and get rid of it and start again because Lo Celso isn't really a part of the plan. And this is the one thing I would say is that a lot of these players that are moving don't necessarily need replaced because Højbjerg was a per player last season, although he was featuring a long time before that under different managers. He didn't really play as much last year. Royale played when Porro was injured, but Spence is back and he's impressed Aaron, so Spence becomes that option at right back for Porro. Rodon was on loan at Leeds, so he's gone. Tanganga was on loan, he's gone, and Dombele wasn't here. So a lot of these players the Spurs have shifted, weren't really part of the plan, so they've used that money they put under their transfer funds, and of course, so I think they've done quite well. They shift a lot of players out. Boys, we'll look at Gallagher because he was a player that Spurs were linked with. Aston Villa were linked with him, but it looked like he was going to Atletico, but the deal has collapsed due to the deal with that other player coming the other way, Samu. I can't remember his second name. He was on loan. He was actually on loan. He was actually on loan last year. He didn't even play for Atletico Madrid, and they were going to pay 35 million for him. So again, it goes back to the problems that Chelsea have, and they are now targeting João Felix to keep the Gallagher deal alive. Owen, your thoughts on this possible transition of players between Chelsea and Atletico Madrid.
I mean, we've seen Joao Felix at Chelsea before, and it was a shit show. So I can't see it being any different this time. Just we've spoke about it numerous times in different podcasts. Chelsea aren't a football club at this point. It feels like they're a money laundering scheme.
No,
Like,
I'm gonna say this now, guys. In 5 to 6 years, there's gonna be a Netflix documentary on Chelsea about how they secretly paid off the
They could go bust right now.
Ukraine war or something like that. Huh?
They could go bust if they keep going this way, because like there's only so much money you can throw at someone before you.
But guys, that's the thing that shocks me. The owners of Chelsea are hedge fund guys. They have investors behind them that expect returns.
Yeah.
So like they've invested over £1 billion, and they've lost every single year. They keep selling off their hotels and their parkings so they can improve the balance sheet, but they're still losing. They're still
selling their fucking clothes next. They'll be their houses. It's gonna be crazy. What do you think this means for Conor Gallagher? I mean, he's been told he's not part of the plans. Chalobah as well has been told he's not part of the plans. I mean, Gallagher really needs this move to get revived because he's going to be left in limbo.
Look, Chelsea are basically, you know me, Connor. I really, sorry, not Connor. I'm thinking Conor Gallagher. Yeah, Gareth, you know me. I really don't rate Conor Gallagher. I think he's crap. Honestly, I think you can find 1,000 players like him. But if you looked at last season, Chelsea's season, Conor Gallagher was their most consistent player. He was never injured. He has a great attitude. He's a Chelsea guy. Okay, you get a good offer. Okay, but you sell him, who was one of your leaders of the team, and then you sell, for me, easily Chelsea's best defender, who's on the chopping block also, and Trevor Chalobah, who, if I was Spurs, Gareth, I would move for him. No, I know Spurs and Chelsea don't do business, but if I was West Ham, if I was Man United, I would move for Chalobah. He's a very versatile player. He's got a great attitude. He's a leader.
I wouldn't mind him like as a backup option.
Yeah, he's better than Joe Gomez.
Well, it'll be interesting if something happens with Chalobah, but we'll have to watch Chelsea over the next few weeks.
Let me just. So you do that so you can fit within PSR reasons. You keep Mr. X Factor, Enzo Fernandez,
and they signed Dewsbury Hall, which I just don't understand as well.
By the way, from what I've read, I haven't watched the preseason games. Dewsbury Hall has been absolutely atrocious in the preseason. I think
the whole Chelsea team they've really struggled. Boys, we're going to move on because there's so much more to discuss. Man United closing in a double deal for Bayern Munich duo De Ligt and Mazraoui, and it looks like Bissaka will go to West Ham. So basically, they get the same money they'll get for Bissaka that they're paying for Mazraoui, roughly the same price. We're hearing 15 million for Bissaka, 17 million for Mazraoui, and they've also agreed a 15 million euros, works out about 42 million for De Ligt. And everybody tells us that Man United's changing, but this De Ligt deal just stinks of so many Man United deals in the past where they sign players that have failed at other clubs, not lived up to their potential. They come to Man United and it continues. Owen, I mean, you're not going to be too worried about it, but how worrying is it for Man United fans that this new regime seems to be going the exact same way as the last one?
I mean, De Ligt as a talented centre half, he has but his career's just been in a standstill since he left Ajax in the first place to join Juventus. But I just think a lot of their signings seem to be players that have worked with Ten Hag before. And what happens if say for argument's sake, they start the season off badly and he's not here, and after the first 10-15 games, what happens then? They're stuck with players and then they need a new manager. So I don't know what they're doing. Me as sitting as a rival fan, I'm not too worried about these things coming on. Mazraoui, I haven't seen much of him at Bayern, to be honest. I think he's going to be more of a backup option.
I think if they're letting them go for 20 million euros, they don't really value them highly. Stefan, what's your thoughts? Is it going to be more of the same for United under these new owners, or the Jim Radcliffe regime?
Can you please tell me what is the actual difference that they do now? They keep saying we have this new structure and stuff, and all of this PR, BS in the media, how they're kissing their ass about their. So they overpaid for a young player big time in Lenny Yoro. They did that before with Anthony Martial and with numerous other young players, Hoyland and stuff like that. Okay, signing once so-called prospects or great players, they're doing that again. De Ligt, paying big money for him when Bayern are desperate to try. Not only big money players on humongous wages. I read he's on 300 euros a week. They're gonna pay him more because it's Man United. And then somehow, I don't rate Wan-Bissaka, but defensively he's solid. He's one of the best defensive right backs in the world, in my opinion. Somehow they managed to find a fullback in Mazraoui who is more injury prone than Luke Shaw. Great. Their strategy is they basically gave 70 million euros to Bayern Munich's. Let's be honest, their dumpster fire.
And they don't
Bayern
see it in the
Munich
part of the plans. And I thought they would have learned this lesson before with Varane, Casemiro, signing players off the top clubs that they don't really want. But it doesn't seem they've learned it, boys. We're going to have to move on because time is ticking by. Finally, they round off the transfer business. We're here. Newcastle have made a third bid for Mark Gahey, closer to the valuation of 65 million, where Palace, what we're hearing, this bid is around 60 million. Might not be accepted, but they're getting closer on. He's been a player that's been linked with Liverpool, but again, similar to the Solanke deal, it's big money. What's your thoughts on him possibly going to Newcastle?
I think it's a great move. I think he's a top. He's potential to be a top centre half. And again, speaking of Chelsea, like there you go. There's an example. Why let him go? I know he wasn't in their plans at the time, but he's gonna go to a team that's gonna be fighting for Champions League possibly next season. And I read a thing like Chelsea or Newcastle. 3 of Newcastle's back 4 have played for Chelsea. Which is
crazy. Stefan, what's your thoughts on this Gahey? Because he's been linked with Liverpool before, linked with Spurs. Are you surprised that one of the big 6 teams haven't come on for him, and the fact he could be going to Newcastle?
I've told you before, Gareth. I'm a massive fan. I watched him for England. He was easily England's best defender, and for me, I think. Although I think they're overpaying, I don't think he's worth that much. I think he's an extreme. I've been really impressed with whilst he was playing for Palace and for England, his leadership, his composure on the actual big stage. I really like him as a defender, and I'm again, like, I was surprised that Liverpool didn't move for Calafiori. I'm surprised. Guehi, I would say, is a very good player. I think he would really fit in at Liverpool, and I think
maybe you wanted first team football. Just
no, I agree, but I just think the money that Crystal Palace want, it is a bit extortionate. I'm gonna be honest, but I just think
looks like they're going to get it because Newcastle are very close to that valuation now, so it looks like they will get that. And Palace are very good sellers. We've seen it with Elise. They're driving a hard ball with Eze and Gahey, and they could potentially lose all 3, but for huge fees. And it'll be interesting to see how Palace get on, boys. The Premier League, as we said, is back on Friday. I'm going to call you out this first round of fixtures, and just quickly, I just want to tell me who you think is going to win. We will go through this in more depth on Wednesday night. If you 2 boys
want
to
come back on the 20 still.
What's that? We'll do the 1-20 to finish, but we'll do the games in more in depth. If you want to come back on Wednesday, you'll have your chance to give your in-depth predictions on these games. But it all starts on Friday night. Owen, Man United, Fulham. How do you see that going?
God knows. I'm gonna go draw.
Stefan.
Where's Darren when you need him? 4-0 Fulham. Yeah. Okay. For me, I'm gonna go for Fulham. Are slowly building a very good. I've been quite impressed with their.
You can have your say on this in order. I just want a quick fire answer.
Oh, quick fire.
We will go through this in more depth on Wednesday night.
1-1.
1-1. I'm gonna go for a draw as well. Moving on to Saturday, 12:30. Owen, Ipswich take on Liverpool. The new boys, the Tractor boys, are up, and Liverpool lying with. I potentially think this is a great start for Liverpool, but how do you see it?
I agree. I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0 Liverpool.
Clean sheet. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go for 3-1 Liverpool.
3-1.
I agree. Very comfortable start for Liverpool. A comfortable away one. 3:00, Arsenal take on Wolves. Surprised this isn't on TV actually, but they kick off at 3:00. It's traditional standard time. Wolves obviously lost Pedro Neto, so won't be as strong as they were, but Yarni, a very good coach. Potentially tricky game one for Arsenal because Wolves did take up a couple of big scalps last year.
Nah, not for me.
Spurs.
I think Arsenal. I think
Twice.
he,
Twice.
he said big scalps,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Spurs. But no, I'm gonna go 2-0 Arsenal for this one.
Stefan,
Uh,
any trouble for you boys in the first game?
I'm gonna go. If I think we're gonna start the season similar to last, we're not gonna be kind of cooking at at the highest level early on. I think it's gonna be
The
a
Hobbs going to be on low, is
slow,
it? They start by.
a slow and controlled 2-0 win against Spurs.
I agree. Arsenal will win this. I think they'll win this game. We'll go through the score. I'll do my scores on Wednesday, but Arsenal fancy. Everton, Brighton. Be interesting to see how Sean Dyche now. Been there a wee while now. Can he get Everton further up the table? Obviously, points deductions last year. Here there could be another one coming still, but we'll have to come across that if it happens. Brighton are moving on the unknown. Very young manager. So hard to call this game on. How do you see this going?
Who's home?
Everton.
I'll go in Everton 2-1-1.
I think Everton have been Brighton's bogey team, if I'm not mistaken, over the last few years.
They beat them 5-0 a couple of
Yeah,
seasons.
I remember. I was thinking just about that game. I remember that game. Calvert-Lewin was finishing like Haaland in that game. I'm Where's the game, Gareth?
Goodison.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Everton. Yeah.
Full house Everton as well. I think will win. Newcastle, Southampton. Now Newcastle were blustering at home last year at times. And if they have everyone fit, they're probably one of the toughest away games of the season for any team, because I think they can play different ways. But they do tend to score a lot of goals at home against the weaker teams, so it could be a difficult start for Southampton.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be first or.
Sorry, I won't yet. You go ahead.
I'm going to go 3-0 Newcastle.
Stefan.
They've started their preseason on fire. I don't know if you've seen some of their results. I'm gonna go for 4-0 against Southampton.
Yeah, I'm gonna go strong Newcastle home one. Nottingham Forest against Bournemouth. A lot of people tipping Forest for the drop. We'll get your predictions after this for the 1-20. But Bournemouth obviously lost Solanke, so their goal threat will dried up a bit, and they won't have a striker on by the first game, I'd imagine. So I think this is a big game for Forest at home. They really need to get off to a good start.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say this is the first 0-0 of the season. I'm gonna go 0-0.
Nah, come on, guys. They've got a lot of good attacking. Is it Bournemouth Forest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the game?
Forest
Bournemouth.
Forest.
Oh, Forest at home. Well, if Bournemouth sign Eddie, they're gonna win. No, I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Forest, actually.
Yeah, I'll go with Forest as well. 5:30, West Ham against Villa.
This is a good game.
We'll go into these games in more depth, because I know you'll have plenty to say about Emery, but we are running out of time. So just quick fire on these. Owen, West Ham, Villa.
I'm gonna go West Ham. I think West Ham have had the best transfer market out of everyone so far. So I think
would
West
say
Ham.
Brighton for me. Yeah.
Go ahead, Stefan.
Villa, as you know, Villa's my second team, so I watched them quite a bit. West Ham is their bogey team. 2-1.
I'll go for a full house. West Ham, they won as well.
They always lose. They always lose to West Ham. Always.
Moving on to Sunday, the first televised game. I'm not sure why this has been picked over Arsenal Wolves, but Brentford Crystal Palace is your first televised game on Sunday.
Guys,
Owen,
sorry to interrupt you, Gareth. Liverpool have bid 30 million euros for the goalie Georgi Mamarashvili.
Yeah, there was talk of that happening. So here we go. Breaking transfer news as we get it there. So
apparently he's going out known to Bournemouth then.
Right, interesting. Brentford Palace.
Brentford Palace.
That's gonna be a good game. That's another really good game, to be honest.
I'm gonna go 2-1 to Brentford.
Stefan.
That's gonna be a really good game. I really like both teams. I'm gonna go for. Wait, Palace lost all their players. I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Brentford also.
Be interesting to see what happens, because I'd imagine he won't play in that game now because he's very close. Eze would still imagine would play because there's no written 100% there.
You mean Sarr that used to play for Watford? They signed
that Zaha too. He's been linked with a move back, but Leicester as well. But I'm going to go for a draw. Boys, the big game of the weekend at 4:30, Chelsea, Man City. Man City, as we know, are slow starters at times. Chelsea are in disarray. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But I think we're all probably leaning towards Man City. Owen, how do you see this going?
I'm not.
5-0 Man City. I genuinely think Man City are going to win
Oh,
1.
Nah, I don't think City will be slow burners to start with. Stefan, how do you see this going?
Man City, I don't know if you guys know, but Man City, they always struggle at Stamford Bridge. Even last year, Chelsea completely outplayed them when they were crap. They were in a bad run of form. I don't think it's going to be as simple, guys. I actually think it's going to be a draw. I don't think Man City are ready for the season. And yes, I agree with Owen that Chelsea are a clown show, but I'm going to go for...
We will speak more about this on
I'm going to
Wednesday.
go for 1-1.
1-1. I think Man City will get the job done, but I don't think it'll be a great watch. I think Man City will win maybe 1-0 or something like that. But I'm going to go with Man City. And finally, Monday Night Football, Leicester against Spurs. There's always a shock on the first weekend of the season. Is it going to come on Monday night? One?
No, Leicester. As much as I would love it, just to banter Leicester are rubbish. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go with a Spurs one. I'm going to go 2-0 Spurs.
2-0 Spurs. Stefan.
I wanted to say something different, but I had a look at Leicester's preseason results. They lost all their preseason
They've lost
games.
all their strongest players, do you think? So.
Yeah, but if they manage to gain a few players, I'm reading they're getting the Bayer Leverkusen guy who's quite good, Klose.
They would need to have it done by Thursday, I believe. They have
and if they manage to get Zaha, your weakness is when you open up space for the wingers, and they have one winger.
Leicester for Zaha,
yeah, but
it'll be interesting because obviously now it'll be Tuesday tomorrow. These players won't have much time.
You guys are gonna win. You guys, but it's gonna be another. They're gonna have a lot of chances. You will have chances, but I just think you have better.
It'll be a good watch.
Yeah, it'll definitely be. But from what I read, your record at Leicester is not very good. Is
up and
true?
down, mixed. Up and down, mixed. I'm actually going to be big and bold here. Spurs is going to be top of the league on Monday night next week. They're going to be ahead in goal difference. They're going to hammer Leicester. Welcome back.
How much are you going to win, guys?
Premier League 1-20. Owen, we'll start with you. Who have you got in 20th position?
Ipswich.
Stefan?
I'm going to go Southampton. I think they're really good.
I'm going to stick Leicester on there, 20th. Owen, 19th.
Leicester.
Stefan?
Ipswich.
And I have Ipswich on there. 18th one.
Wolves.
Wolves, that's a big shirt. There's always a surprise in there, I suppose. Stefan?
I'm going to go Nottingham Forest.
I've gone for Brentford. So what we'll do is we'll explain these. We'll explain some of these decisions, why we put them when we're talking about the games on Wednesday. So because we are running out of time here.
Brentford? You think Brentford are going to go down?
I think so, because I think Tony could move. 17th, Owen.
Southampton.
What? You think Southampton are going to make it? Okay.
Stefan?
17th, I'm going to go for... Who always struggles? Give me a second. I'm sorry. Everton. I've
gone for Southampton as well. 16th.
I've gone for Everton.
Stefan. It's easier with a pen and paper in front of you.
Yeah, I don't have. That's the thing. I'm trying to think of the teams. I'm gonna go for Leicester.
I've gone for Nottingham Forest. 15th. Owen.
Brentford.
Stefan.
Yeah, Brentford. Yeah.
I've gone for Bournemouth. 14th. Owen.
Nottingham Forest.
Wow. I'm gonna go for.
I think a Forest 14th will be parties. Nottingham.
I'm gonna go for Wolves 14th.
I've gone for Everton. 13th. Owen.
Bournemouth.
Stefan. He's probably thinking how it says now.
I'm already thinking ahead, Gareth. Palace.
I've gone for Wolves. 12th, Owen.
Fulham.
I've gone for Fulham as well.
Same.
Fulham,
I would
12th.
go for Fulham too.
11th, Owen. I think we're going to be getting probably very similar now. It's almost
I've gone Chelsea.
Chelsea. Bottom half. Stefan.
I'm gonna go Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. I've gone for Brighton, actually. We finished 11th.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Okay.
Owen, 10th under the top 10. Now, Owen, 10th.
I've gone for Brighton.
Brighton. Stefan.
Chelsea.
Chelsea. And I've gone for Crystal Palace. 9th, Owen.
I've gone for Palace.
Palace. Stefan.
9th. I'm gonna go for Brighton.
Brighton. I've gone for Chelsea in 9th. 8th, getting into the top 8 now. So this will probably be the team that just misses out in Europe.
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa. Stefan.
I'm gonna go 8th. I'm gonna go Spurs, Gareth.
Spurs. I've
Yeah.
gone for West Ham. 7th. So I'm going to call. Well, we've all different ones, so it's different. 7th one.
I've gone for West Ham.
West Ham. Stefan.
I'm gonna go for Man United.
I've gone for Aston Villa. 6th.
Newcastle.
Newcastle. Stefan.
I'm gonna go for Villa.
Villa. And I've gone for Man United. 5th. Owen.
Man United.
Stefan.
I'm trying to think which teams are left. 5th. I have my top 4 ready in my head. Which team is left? Fuck.
I think West Ham. You haven't says.
Oh yeah, sorry. West Ham 5th.
I've gone for Newcastle. 4th. Owen.
I've gone for Spurs.
Oh
I've
my
gone for-
God.
I've
Owen,
gone for Spurs.
oh
I've
my
gone for Spurs as well. Stefan, who have you putting on 4th?
Jesus. I'm putting Newcastle at 4th.
Newcastle. 3rd. Owen.
I've gone for my boys.
Liverpool. I've gone for Liverpool as well. I'm assuming
Same.
Stefan has as well.
Same.
Now this gets interesting. 1 and 2. Owen, give me your 1 and 2 together. So first and then second.
City, Arsenal.
City, Arsenal. I've gone for City,
Why,
Arsenal.
Owen? Why do you always
I've
have to
gone for
do
City,
that?
Arsenal.
Why?
I don't want it to happen.
Stefan, is it a full house? Have you gone Man City, Arsenal, or have you gone
No.
a different way?
Of course, I've got number 1 Arsenal, number 2 City.
So what we'll
I
do
think
is, boys, we'll explain when we're talking about the 10 games on Wednesday. If he's both available Wednesday.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll go through the games this weekend in more detail, and we'll obviously speak about some of them decisions where we put teams, and we'll explain it in more detail. Boys, brilliant show, done an hour and a half, so we'll call it quits there, and we'll pick this up on Wednesday night. Full focus on Wednesday night. We will probably be going through transfer news because probably will be stuff happening in the next 48 hours, and then we'll go straight into the games for the weekend, and we'll do in-depth previews of all 10 games and explain some of them decisions. So anyone that was with for the hour and a half tonight, thanks very much. We'll be back on Wednesday. If you're new around here, like and subscribe for more content. Stefan, enjoy the rest of your holiday. Owen, thanks as always, and I'll see you again on Wednesday.
See you guys. Thank you.